People message me all the time saying, Sev, I love my office job. I'm like, that's fucking great, man. That's great. Are you fulfilled by it? Are you true to yourself by it? They're like, yeah, we have a great time there. I'm like, good. Every day. And then and I say to them this, if I ever see you status update, thank God it's Friday, you're full of shit. If I ever see you status update, oh my God, Monday's here amongst us again, you're full of shit.
Cool. All right. Hopping myself up. I'm playing the music. Can you hear it? I can't hear it. Ladies and gentle babies, I firmly believe everyone has the alacrity within them, which is basically the shit they're passionate about. Alacrity stands for brisk, cheerful readiness. It's that energy when curiosity turns into a raging inferno. Now, because of that, my intention for you, the listener, is to hopefully help you discover your own alacrity, or even help you just gain insight by hearing the stories of other amazing legends on that path. It's an excuse to connect with cool, like-minded people and really get to know them on a deeper level through casual conversation, diving into their stories and of their journey and what they've learned. And as a byproduct, it's an organic way of creating content. That's it, I think.
I love that. That's a good intro. Ugh.
Yeah. I wrote that 30 minutes before my first episode. Now, our guest today is Australia's biggest wedding photographer and content creator with almost 400,000 followers on TikTok. And quite literally, as he's almost 7 feet tall. Having moved to Perth at a young age, hailing from the former Soviet Union. You told me this when we first met, so I'm trying to remember off my memory. Was it Kyrgyzstan?
Yes.
Yeah!
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So early on, he has been inclined to the creative and entrepreneur life, finding a gap in the market in his high school. At year 10, started reselling Lollies, aka zombietubes, as well as getting a couple of year 8s to sell it for him. Since then, he has quite the journey. From working as a lifeguard, a laborer, making window frames, a professional footy player, a personal trainer, a photographer, and then graduated from ECU with a teaching degree. From then, he passionately goes into the education system with a heart looking to help and inspire the younger generation until he realizes the system's broken. Goes off on his own and starts his own wedding photography business just before COVID hits. Boom! That doesn't faze Sev at all, because he's got a heart of a lion, crushes both his wedding photography business and content creation in TikTok. In a year, he's earning more than he could ever have at his teaching job and build a massive audience, all the while living his life to the fullest, cherishing his close friends and family the most. Welcome to the podcast, Seva Mozhaev.
Mate, that needs to be my intro for everything ever. That's going to be my intro to every keynote speech I ever do. I'm taking that. Sorry. Thank you for having me on the show. That was amazing. How do you remember all that? Or did you listen to one of my podcasts or all of them in the last day? Did you binge listen to me?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That's insane. That's very, very good. I like it. I love how you summarized it, because normally I'd babble on as well. That's so good. Thank you so much.
Dude, and I think that's it. That's the whole podcast.
Done. Good luck, guys. Have fun.
No, but really, I don't really have a set structure for this thing. It's more of that's kind of the base for it, and then
I love it.
We'll see how we go. Cause with anything, it's kind of like the minimum viable product first.
Yeah.
So, I just want to start off by saying I'm honored you're here, man. Honestly, I'm grateful you're here. When we first met, I literally picked up the camera 2 months before we met, and the vibes I got off that Sev's tour, the walk, you already had that energy of educating and helping and building a community, man, from the get-go. And I guess what I want to ask you is, where the fuck does it come from? Just reading your whole journey, where does it come from? You've got this fire, bro. Where does it come from?
Honestly, it's just I don't want to be like everybody else. It's the first thing that comes to mind is being industry standards for me is curse words. It's falling into that you have to do it like this because that's how everybody else has done it before you. I'm like, well, great. but I want to do it differently because I can. And the fire comes from that itself. Majority of people have the 9 to 5, and for me, that's not it. I'm not everybody else. And the fire to push past the 9 to 5 and show the students that I once taught, and students from around Australia, that they can do that too, and to show them that the 9 to 5 isn't it, isn't the be all end all, is what drives me the most, because it's so much more powerful when you have that accountability, when everybody's watching you. And I share my content for me first, to document my journey, to look back at it and go, I'm so glad we are in a time right now in the last 10 years that we have cellular devices that have real good audio and video where we can document everything and anything, whereas before we had to journal it and look back through journals in hopes that our books wouldn't be burnt or lost or wet or saturated. And now everything's in the cloud, and my grandkids will be watching this one day, and I'll be like, this is how I did it.
Fuck
Your grandpa's a fucking cool bloke.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Enjoy the generational wealth, bitches.
I fucking love that, bro.
Fucking welcome. You're welcome.
That's beautiful, bro, and it's definitely taking advantage of all the opportunity we have right now. And you said it perfectly. I'm on the dude. We have, you said it perfectly. We have such an opportunity right now to take advantage of everything that we have in our fingertips, and I want to ask, because I saw something recently as I was binge watching your like your other podcast, specifically the one with Harry, and you also mentioned it as well right now when you said first you're making content for yourself, and you on that podcast with Harry, you said you had a Y coach, WHY, and you said you're selfish to a point that you're selfless.
Yes.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
So everybody ever that grows up into themselves, they need to go through that phase where they have to think of themselves first, where that's the discovery stage of their life. And for some people that's lifelong. Some others they get there earlier. And again, that's also subjective. But to make sure that you look at yourself and know and build that self-awareness of you without anybody else telling you what you should be doing or how you should be doing it, that's the selfish part in anybody's life that they need to take. And the education system, for one, is not it. They don't. I don't believe that they encourage that. They say to you, your test scores are low. You should be doing better. Whereas me, I had C's and D's all throughout high school. I got my act together at year 12 because I was like, all right, let's just pass it. Let's just achieve these last 12 years of school and get a certificate out of it, which means nothing anyway, years later. But the one subject I excelled in was media. But I had no one telling me that this is, you should do something more with this. And in the background, I did that anyway. I was creating YouTube content when YouTube first came out, just for fun. I have YouTube clips from what looked like a calculator. It was filmed on a calculator. And that was the journey that I took. And it took me almost 12 years, actually, since turning 18. Up until right now, like in the last probably 8 months, to realize, all right, the last 12 years of adulthood and prior in my adolescence and my teenage high school years, that was when I needed to go, right, what is it that I actually enjoy doing, and how do I make a living out of it? And that's the selfish part. And then the selfless part comes from where you do find something, if you're lucky enough early on, where you help inspire other people because you have the time to, because you're not focusing on yourself as much anymore, and you're able to give back Some people give back later on in life because it's taken them longer. For me, I feel like I'm at that spot now where I can start giving back already. And the cool thing is, it's exponential when that starts to happen.
Yes.
Because people lean back into you at scale and you get back so much more out of it than you would have if you just stayed selfish and just did your thing yourself forever. Because, you know, I feel that you need a balance, right? You need to get to a point where you have been selfish that whole time, but then if you keep being selfish, it's a lonely path.
Yep.
You know, and you know, you can get greedy, you can get complacent or whatever, but unless you start networking, collaborating, sharing, trading ideas and helping each other excel, you know, collaboration over competition,
Yes.
you're going to go down a path where you get stuck and people go past you, even though it's not a race. So now at my selfless stage, yeah, it's coming back tenfold. And the best thing is I don't expect anything. And that is the hardest thing for me to learn. But I learnt it very young because my mum, she said to me, Sev, never expect anything from anyone ever.
Yeah.
And do anything you want, but do it because you want to do it. Don't do it for any other reason. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because it feels good. And if you do something for somebody else, make sure, one, you're doing it for the love, and two, you can identify the people that are leeching off you because, you know, sometimes you got to say,
Yes.
nah, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And, you know, and sometimes that I feel like that's me, you know. I feel like I'm leeching.
Yeah.
But I keep score. I deep down inside, I'm like, okay, this person's helped me at this stage of my life. I owe them. Yeah. And my mum said as well, she goes, you don't know anyone anything ever. You just do you. But that's her Russian communist side coming out. She's just like, you know. And that's where I find like me migrating from Russia to Australia has been like a key point in my personality. Being that multicultural me has been a blessing because I took the best parts of the Russian culture, like the fierce, no hostages, take no hostages, take no bullshit, and also the Western culture of be a little bit more empathetic and play the game, but know that other people are playing their own game too.
Were you 5 when you arrived to Australia?
I was 7. Yeah, I was 7. And mum didn't continue talking Russian with me because I needed to learn English. Otherwise, I would rock up to school and the year 7s would teach me these new hand gestures and new words for me. It was like my own free private tutors. And that always resulted in me going to the office with the principal and my mum coming to school. And they explaining to me that those words and gestures were not appropriate, even though I had no idea what they were talking about anyway. So I learnt the English language quickly, and unfortunately I lost my fluency, which I want to get back one day in the Russian language. I can understand it, I can read it. And I was talking about this the other day in an unrelated forum, but because I have a more Australian accent now, people think that I'm a sleeper, like a Russian spy, just waiting for the code to activate, and then I just start like destroying people.
That sounds like your next like content piece of TikTok video. I don't know, man. You probably made one already. I don't know.
It's actually a great idea. Russian spy. I'm gonna write that one down.
Russian
spy. Good.
You said a lot, and I want to touch on a lot of it, and I want to get back to the TikTok thing. We'll get there.
Yes.
But I feel like I'm kind of relating to you in a sense that I moved to a place called Bahrain when I was 5. So I was born in the Philippines, and I moved there when I was 5, and I grew up there. And I just moved to Australia maybe 5-6 years ago. So this is kind of like my second time being an immigrant.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's something about migrating to a new country where you don't know the culture and then you adapt to the culture, that kind of for me anyway, I felt like that's where the flames were built. There's kind of like you're kind of like an underdog almost. It's like yeah. Did you feel the same way? I don't know if I'm making sense there, but
No. I came in and I was known as the Russian Martian because my stepdad, his adopted name for me was Martin. That was my original last name when I moved over here.
Okay.
I changed it back because it's too like, I say it's too white, but the thing is Russians don't consider themselves white.
Yeah.
They consider themselves Russian. We're a whole different fucking breed, right? When people say, where are you from? Or what's your nationality? I always say Russian first, even though I've lived in Australia most of my life. Not that I'm ashamed of Australia, but I value my Russian heritage like more than anything. And like coming into a new culture, a new, part of the world, back then, like I didn't know what was going on. But I was bullied. I was the outcast.
Kids are crazy.
Yeah. Especially if you're different.
That's it.
So, like, I feel like I'm put on this earth to actually just take the grunt of it without having any. I say any like mental or physical disabilities because you see these people that are born without any limbs and they become like amazing motivational speakers, right?
Yeah.
With me, I was blessed with my height. And I say blessed because, people remember the tall people. But at the same time, it's like 6'10". You consider that a little bit too tall. So I took that. Yeah, I stood out in good ways and bad ways. But I learned to live with it and I learned to adapt to it and I learned to really take advantage of it. Where now I fully understand little man syndrome. Yeah, I mean, short man syndrome is real, and I know why. Sucks to be them. But that.
Dude, I'm 5'6". Well,
I have a theory about
that's
that.
The average.
Well, I have a theory about that, right?
Tell me.
There's, and I don't want to be shitting on any cultures or any ethnic groups or anything like that, because I'm all about inclusivity and everything like that. The thing is. I got my majority of my bullying from like Australian kids, Australian kids, like the Australian kids that not the Aboriginals, the Australian kids whose parents, the white parents, the white grandparents, the dating back to whether they migrated here in the early 90s or by boat because they were convicts. But those were the ones that I was bullied by the most. Every other ethnic group that I was involved in, I had Italian friends. I have Italian friends. I have, African American friends, Chinese, Asian, Japanese, all these different ethnic groups. Kiwis, I got along with Kiwis so well. Yeah. I was always on their team. They always liked me, and it's just a multicultural vibe. It's it's like we're different. We're all. It's weird. It's weird.
Dude,
I feel like I'm completely segregating the Australian culture. I'm not trying to. It's just what I observed growing up. So before anybody starts canceling me for that.
Well, our first Sevs, when I first met you on that Sevs tour, it was literally a multicultural photo tour because we had Jen, Jen, I think hails from Thailand. Nick from New Zealand. Gav from
Scotland.
So it was pretty.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Dude,
I think there was another guy from England. And Adam from he's Irish. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh, and there was an Indian fella. Prash. Yeah, Indian fella.
Prash.
Legit. I think that's all bloody 7 continents right there, apart from Antarctica.
Well, you said it earlier when you were talking about your experience when you were back in school that You were different. You stood out. And I think, I guess, like, when people see something different or something they don't really fully understand because it's the first time they've seen something, a natural instinct is to react with like fear because they don't know what it is. So it's like, who is this? What is this? So then comes the judgment, the trying to isolate that kind of, which is sad, but it's part of kind of like, because I experienced that growing up as well. What would you tell someone who's going through that same thing right now? What would you tell someone to help them get through that?
Be around people that are like you, and be around people that have the same values as you. Put yourself around people that are not obviously the ones that are trying to put you down. But also, if you're struggling to find that group of people, then know that there are at least 1 million people in this world that will like who you are. That is a fact.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have the statistics on it, but it's a fact. You know, like, it's technically a theory of mine, but with over 8 billion people on this earth,
yeah, man,
every one of us has got 1 million people that we would get along with quite well. The only difference is, how do we find those people? And that's by being ourselves first and foremost, which is what all the kids should be doing at school, being themselves. And I know most of them will be listening to this right now saying, but I don't want to be judged, so I have to do what every other kid's doing. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but high school isn't forever. And a lot of those kids that stay like that end up staying like that forever, which is boring, and they're not really themselves. And the other kids, they grow out of it and do their own thing anyway. So you may as well start as early as you possibly can. Even though it's not a race, just go do your thing. Go be that weird kid at the library that doesn't talk to anyone and wears weird shoes or spectacles, or, you know, has that crazy hobby that nobody else does, but you just fucking love it. Just go do it. Because later on in life, you're going to find the right people. High school is like a lottery, right? You get put into a high school with all these different bunches of kids, these different groups of people, these stereotypes, these different social kind of areas. And you'd be lucky enough to be put in one where you have many that align with you, you know?
Yeah.
The stereotypical jocks and cheerleaders thing, you know, the popular girls and the strong masculine sports players, you know, homecoming queen and king and all that stuff, that's glorified in the movies. But in real life, it doesn't last forever. The people that are glorified are the ones who are themselves, who find themselves, and then who help other people. Because I think that's like the main thing. If you help other people,
yeah, but
nothing better than that.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who heard that right now, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"But Sev,
Go on.
I don't know how to be myself. How, like, you're telling me to be myself, but I don't, like, because looking back at your intro, you've had quite the journey. You've worked as a lifeguard. You've done all these crazy things in exploring what it is that you love doing. How does that, what would you tell someone who's kind of trying to be themselves and finding what it is that they love?
Well, that's part of the journey. I've taken, my whole life, and I'm still not completely 100% satisfied with who I am. But at least I know I'm someone that I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not.
Yeah.
So for someone that is listening and hearing that, as you said, as long as you're not faking it and you're looking at areas that you have interest in, then you're on the right track. And it's okay to get to a point where you're like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. Actually, I'm not interested in it anymore. Oh no, people are going to be like, oh, I thought you were into that, but now you're not. They're going to call you out. Who cares? People can change their mind all the time.
That's it.
People get degrees, lifelong careers they pigeonhole themselves into, like high-paying ones, like doctors and stuff. But at the end of the day, they figure out, they realize this isn't what I want to do. But with that 6-7 years of med school, they're like, and their parents as well, for example, that's all they know. That's all they think they're doing, but they're deep inside, they're not happy. And that's kind of the what's it called? The diluted or the expanded version of crying in your Ferrari. Doctors can afford Ferraris. Doctors can afford Ferraris, but if they don't like their jobs, at the end of their job, they're not fulfilled. So they're driving home in their Ferrari, but they're crying. So,
Yeah, fuck that.
and the thing is, if you, sorry if I'm going on a rant, if you're 30, if you're 30, or no matter what age, no matter what age you are, if you're 30 and you have a 5-year plan to get out, and at 35 you're still on that spot, then you gotta look and see, like, you gotta be your hero 10 years from now. Matthew McConaughey says that.
I love
be
that
your
one.
hero you are 10 years from now.
10 years from now.
But if you're not making the moves now to get out of the things that you don't like doing, then your 10-year from now self is in the same spot, and you're not his hero. What would you say to yourself, Chris? What would you say to your 10-year older self from now?
Slow down.
Slow down. Why would you say slow down?
Because at that time, I was 10 years from now, I was like 20. I was in Dubai. I was working as a chef. I love what I was doing.
You went the other way. Sorry, I'm telling myself.
I thought you said
future self. 10 years from future self. But let's stick with that one. Your 20-year-old self. What would you tell him? You tell him to slow down. Okay, keep going.
Slow down.
We'll go to the other one.
Sorry, I got it wrong. The other
That's
way
all
around.
right. That's all right. So you're 20 and you're a chef and you're going too quick. Why are you going too quick? Why do you think you're going too quick?
Well, because I thought I didn't have enough time. So I was making decisions that weren't aligned to where I really wanted to go, because I thought I didn't have time, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
In the short term, it kind of... I burnt out because of it, and I take full responsibility. That's kind of the reason why I'm doing this now. The Alacrity it's all connected together and slowly building that foundation, slow growth, to build something that's bigger than myself, but also an extension of myself. I just took, ever heard of the Myers-Briggs test?
Yeah.
It's just I just took that recently, and the quote that stood out after I finished it just like the quote that was there was like, it doesn't matter to me how old you are. I don't care what job you're doing. Tell me if you're willing to look like a fool for love, to live life to the fullest that you can. And that really spoke to me because, like, as you said earlier, I feel like society and the system tries to push you in a direction where you're supposed to, quote unquote, be. But,
be a worker. Be a worker.
Be a worker, exactly.
Be a worker.
But for someone else and not for yourself.
Well, that's it. Well, here's a prime example, right? Everybody has this opinion of how you're meant to behave in society. And if you do it the wrong way, you risk tarnishing your reputation, which means possibly getting fired from your job.
Yep.
So that means your boss not only has you by, pays you, but also emotionally has control over you. Because, I'm not saying that they actually are, But let's say
yeah,
you
I
work
get
at a
it.
9 to 5 and you need to pay the bills, you need to pay the rent or the mortgage or whatever, put food on the table for your family, and you have a specific opinion that you really truly believe. But you have to suppress it because you know that if you speak out about it, you risk being having a resistance pushed against you, and then your job finding out and saying, we don't want to employ you. Society doesn't agree with what you're saying, and we don't want that held against us, that we employ someone like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that like terrible?
It's horrible.
So that's the first thing that's wrong with the school system. And again, this is all from my observation. There's examples that completely, prove me that it isn't fact all the time. But for the majority that I've seen,
yeah.
that is what it is, So, yeah, I have views and beliefs and do my own thing, and I'm out there on my videos well before I finished up at school. And I would be getting letters. No, I would be summoned to the principal's office back, like back I was in high school, and the principal would be saying, "Sev, I like what you're doing. I appreciate your intent, but this isn't the time and place to be doing it. This isn't the place." And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
What they say?
Well, they said the lines are blurred a little bit. You can either be a teacher or you can be a mentor, but you can't be both. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
It doesn't make sense.
That does not make sense. And that's when I knew I definitely had to go. I was like, isn't that what a teacher is?
Exactly. Exactly.
I like a mentor, like by definition, from my perspective, I'm not going to go to Oxford Dictionary and look it up, but a mentor guides you, but a teacher tells you. And that's subjective as well. Like teachers can guide you as well, and mentors can tell you as well. But that's like my point of difference. So I've always tried to suggest on how people should go about things with my own examples. Then I'm like, here's what I did. And then you go and do it. Or you can try and replicate it, or take little bits and pieces out of it and apply it to whatever you want to do. Go for it. If you fail, great. I love it, because then you learn how to not do it for next time.
That's it. It's full of information that you can learn from.
Yeah.
You're living by example, man.
Right. And then with schools, they kind of pretend they say the same thing, except when you get the test scores back, they're like, no, you failed. Do it again. No, you need to remember this. I'm like, do I? Do I really need to remember my Pythagoras theorem or my SOHCAHTOA? How many triangles? Exactly. How many triangles am I going to measure in my life? What does the mitochondria mean? But there are people out there that love it. So going back to the whole thing, high school's taste testing, and high school should be looked at as an institution that is just pure taste testing, whether you win or you lose. Because losing just means you're learning anyway.
That's it. Yes.
I get why sometimes they have the test scores is to keep not the students accountable, but the teachers accountable, right?
Okay.
And we can go down so many rabbit holes, but education system, man, it needs improvement. It needs improvement.
Well, we're lucky to live in an age where I feel like a lot of people. I've learned so much more from YouTube and actually going on like online courses and getting mentorship from other people through the internet. I've gained so much skills, not just in life but in business, in the creative journey that I'm on. And you're a living example of like doing what you say. I want to bring some more light for people maybe who's listening. When you were that time when you were doing different things throughout your life, did you feel like you were in the unknown almost? Were there moments in your there you go. So
I live in
that unknown, the common reaction is fear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm assuming that that's not your reaction, because the
Oh no, it still is. It still is. Sometimes it is. It is scary.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It is. It is frightening. But there's something worse, and that is regret.
So is that what you do in that time of fear, is kind of reframe your mindset from fear into like, I'd rather not regret than be
Yeah.
afraid now? So
Yeah.
what goes on when you're in the unknown all the time? What goes on in your mind? How do you deal with that? And how can someone who's going through that unknown deal with that?
Okay. So thinking about what's the worst that can happen, and visualizing that worst case scenario, and then analyzing how bad that is if that actually happened. And whatever it is that I'm doing, is it worth the risk of seeing that worst case scenario happen, right? I look at that and be like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Oh, what's the worst that has happened? What is the worst that has happened in my life that I can compare that to? For me, it's, family members passing away. And, that's an extreme, but I think about it every day. I'm like, right, so if I'm going to go to this meeting today and I'm going to ask them that I want this as my, I don't know, maybe I'm going to quote a specific figure for my package that I present to them, to whatever the workshop is I'm delivering, or the skill that I'm showcasing, or the product that I'm selling. If I'm giving them a new five-figure item, what's the worst that can happen? They're going to say no. Is that worse than someone dying in my family? No. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
Let's go.
And then, this actually happened today. I quoted someone for a video shoot for their business, and I was like, it's actually not that much effort for me, but I do have the skill and I do have all the equipment, and they save a lot of time here, and it's probably going to get them a lot of business. Stuff it. I'll do it. I'll send it to them. The cool thing is, bless her, my friend that is getting me the gigs, she's the middleman. So she's actually telling me insider information, which is a really good learning point for me.
Yep.
She's saying to me, yeah, that was a great quote, but it should be higher. And I was like, why is that? She's like, because they're on the fence for a much higher, like 5 times higher quote. And they decided not to go with them because they didn't really like their attitude and how they talked.
That's it.
And I was like, holy shit,
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry, it's my watch. So yeah, the fear is every day, man. Like, the fear is honestly every day. I go through moments where I'm like, should I do this? Should I be doing this? Is this worth it? Is this? And yeah, it is scary. But every single time, I say, actually no, 99% of the time, where I chose not to do it, I look back and go, oh my God, that was not so bad had I done it anyway. And then the regret sets in, and it's not fun at all. It's like, damn, I should have done it. I should have done it. And then I analyzed it. I was like, man, what? And then when the worst case does happen, when the shit happens, and this is the fear that I have lived through, 99% of that time, I don't go, oh my God, my gut feeling was correct. I shouldn't have done it. It's quick decision making to find out what it is, what happens. And then the 1% where the worst case happens, and I do go, holy shit, that was a bad idea completely. Again, it's the risk you got to take. That's life. You'll never know the alternative. You'll never know the alternative. And yeah, that's how I do it. It's maths.
Thanks for sharing that, man. I feel like a lot of people benefit from this story. I don't know. For me, anyway, I feel like I was resonating with a lot of what you were saying, especially when you said like the gut, like when you didn't listen to your gut. It's like, it's just like every time. Do you feel like every time you'd say you'd have a time where you regret something, it's usually comes down to I should have listened to my gut at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely. Hey, you seem to be cutting out a little bit. What's
Oh,
the
am
go
I?
there? Is it like a microphone thing?
Hello,
No dead air. No dead air.
Yo,
Yeah,
yo.
I can. There we go. You're there.
I'll just go closer to the mic. I guess it's
Yeah.
because I got the volume lower on the amplifier. I got a weird getup here. I got this mic is going through an amp and going through a recorder, then going through the computer.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, you're still kind of muting a little bit, but I don't know if it's my end, but the connection
Is that
on
better?
my end, that is better.
Okay.
Okay,
Hello,
cool. We're
hello.
good.
Awesome.
Yes, all right.
Awesome.
Sweet.
We're back online.
Yeah, edit that part out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll keep it. We'll keep it.
Yeah.
Bro, really, tell me more about your, cause like, after the Sevs tour, I've been like following you on your journey, and you're such a hard worker because you're consistently online posting, and as you said, like you didn't really care what people thought. You just were exploring different things, and from afar, I was admiring because you're just doing your own thing. You were expressing yourself, and being consistent, posting different things online, and and like, which led to your growth and your journey on TikTok, amassing this big following. What's your biggest takeaway from that journey so far?
Having a large following is not what it's not all that it's cut out to be. Being recognized on the street is cool, and asking for photos is cool, and I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't give that away. But every day is still day one for me. So I don't treat it differently. I don't go and say, right, I've made it now, time to relax. So I just keep doing my thing. Nothing's really changed. It's just the byproduct has been, more people know who I am. That's it. And the only other thing that I kind of use it for is just leverage to go further.
Beautiful.
Yeah, leveraging to go further, to get to my goal faster, which is cool. But I'm not in a race. I'm not in a race to get there faster. I'm happy at the pace I'm going, and forever will be happy, because once you think that life is like a race, you're gonna blink and it's gonna go. So, what would you tell yourself 10 years from now?
Yep. Like, tell my future self?
Yeah. Or
I don't know.
no, answer that one first. And what would you want them to tell you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What do you think they would tell you? It's almost like a self-reflection of your current self, or it actually is.
I guess I'll tell my future self. To remind him to enjoy every moment.
I love that. That's a great answer. Yes, I agree.
Because we can easily get carried away, right? There's so many things that takes our attention, and then we forget to enjoy every single moment.
Enjoy that moment. Exactly. Enjoy the catch-ups. Enjoy the wins. And even though for me, even though it's day one for me, you got to enjoy those wins in that day. The other thing, the thing that I would keep tell myself is keep networking at scale. Keep meeting new people.
Yep.
Because once upon a time, I was not, believe it or not, a people person. I was in my own world, just stuff everyone. I'm doing my thing. But that's the selfish part.
Yep.
But keep networking, because that's the difference from being, from scaling your success.
Nice. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so important. Well, sometimes it's not just what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah,
and,
it definitely is. But the thing is, it's if you're networking with people, and whether that's a lot of followers or not, or just the people around you, they will be valuable to you and you'll be valuable to them one day, or they will say, oh, I know Sev, I'll connect you with him because I like his skill. I believe that his skills are suitable for your current problem. So that's where networking is the strongest.
Relationships.
And with your mission, whatever your mission is, to have a bigger reach for that mission is, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a given.
And going back to the story you shared earlier when you were having that sales meeting and that potential client was torn between you and the other guy was like, they didn't like the attitude.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes down to like when you're truly just being authentically yourself. I know it's a buzzword these days, but that sometimes is the deciding factor between getting the project, getting the business, getting the gig, or getting opportunities.
Yeah. It's a majority. It's actually a majority of the time the deciding factor. You know,
Yeah.
I had a discussion with a photography friend of mine. We go way back. She's probably one of my oldest creative friends that I know. She's a professional photographer in Dubai, and I value her opinion every day of the week. And she said to me, she called me out. She goes, Seb,
Okay.
I 100% disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, good. I want to learn. There's not many people, people that I'm willing to go, okay, I'm listening, that say to me, I 100% disagree. And we had a discussion about it. And at the end,
curious.
the long story short, it was all about, do you focus on the audience first or your product first? You know? Do you cater to your audience or what you have to sell? And I said audience first. And she rebutted with, no, definitely you have to showcase the product first, because if you get too high off your own supply and, you know, you love yourself too much and go, how good am I? You should buy this, but your product is shit, then you're going to fail. That's when I was like, okay, I should have expanded and gone, make sure your product isn't trash. But that's also knowing the intent of what you're doing. There's so many people out there that are motivated for the wrong reasons. Like they see me doing something and they want to be a photographer. I'm like, great, that's awesome. I inspired you to be a photographer. But why do you want to be a photographer? What do you see in it? And they're like, oh, because I want to be like you. That's awesome. But do you know what it takes to do that? Do you actually like doing it? Or do you just want to be like me? You know? Yes, I'm glad to be a mentor, a leader, a role model, and all of that. But I want you to just be a good person and love what you do, because that's what I'm doing. It's not what I'm doing; it's how I'm doing it. That's what people should be looking at. And people chasing the money, obviously, like money is it's a good motivator. But at the end of the day, it's not the best motivator. The best motivator is just what you're after. What you're after in life. And it's not that Ferrari. It's not that mansion. It's you waking up in the morning and wanting to wake up and do what it is you want to do. And there's nothing else that matters more than that ever. That's it. And people say, oh, wait till you have kids. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. Because then I'll be able to wake up every morning and go, hey, kids, I'm going to take you to school. Because I don't have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning and rush out the door to my 9 to 5. Again, no disrespect to people that do that. I admire them. Yeah. But only if they're true to themselves and they're actually doing what it is that they want to do. And I get called out for that too. People message me. People message me all the time saying, Sev, I love my office job. I'm like, that's fucking great, man. That's great. Are you fulfilled by it? Are you true to yourself by it? They're like, yeah, we have a great time there. I'm like, good. Every day. And then and I say to them this, if I ever see you status update, thank God it's Friday, you're full of shit. If I ever see you status update, oh my God, Monday's here amongst us again, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're
You know,
contradicting yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand we all need rest. I understand we work hard and we need that 2 days off or 4 weeks off of the year. You know, I had 12 weeks off a year as a teacher. I still gave it up. I'd spent
Yeah.
4 years at uni getting the degree to be qualified to be a teacher, getting a good full-time job for a government, a well-paid government job and I had a permanency too, which meant I was set for life. Still gave it up.
Wow.
So, and people say to me still, they go, "Oh, but you don't have kids yet." I'm like, well, then that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
You know, people use kids as cop-outs.
Yeah.
And you have a kid as well. How did you
Yeah.
find it?
Bro, I heard something from another podcast, Chris Willix from Modern Wisdom, and he was talking to Jack Butcher, who owns a company called Visualize Value, and he generates $100,000 in revenue a month. And
Goals.
he asked him, Jack, what's more difficult, building $1 million business, or because he just had a baby, or having a baby? And he's like, having a baby 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hearing that kind of helped me put into perspective what I'm going through. Because sometimes I get too hard on myself. I need to work harder. I'm having this language in my head. I need to push myself to do all these other things that I know I need to, quote unquote, should be doing.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm so grateful that I've had the time to be present with Cadence, my daughter, and just enjoying every moment and not being in a situation where work or whatever it is that I'm doing is taking away my attention. You know what I mean? From what's going on right now. So I'm just it's all about perspective, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love this
You're
conversation, man.
You're cutting out again, bro. I'm sorry.
There, I'll go closer. I love this conversation, man. I love you.
Yeah. Always. Do you have like a small radius around your mic?
I think so. It's just.
Or maybe he does.
Oh yeah. Is that better?
That is better.
Okay.
I hope.
I hope so too. Sev.
Am I cutting out at all?
No, you're perfect.
Okay.
I think it's just me.
Yeah, you'll get there. It's episode 4. It's episode 4.
But
What else is on your mind?
dude, it sounds to me like you've built, because you said everything you're doing now is just a byproduct, right? It sounds to me like you've built a system around you where you're doing your thing, and as a byproduct, you're fulfilling those goals. Because this is more of a selfish question, because I'm also sort of in a situation where I'm putting systems in place that work for me, so that I can also create byproducts, which is achieve my goals. How did you go about creating or putting those systems in place to build your engines?
Oh,
If that makes sense.
I need to understand the question more.
Okay. Let's start with TikTok. How do you go about creating ideas for your content? Does it just come to you? Do you have an ongoing list of ideas? Do you sit down purposely to script out ideas, to brainstorm, research?
Okay. So the system I have in place for content creating is simple. I just document what I think about and what I do.
Okay.
And what resonates with me at that point in time. That's the system. And I believe that should be everybody's system, because that system is undefeated and you cannot fault it, because you are your most authentic self. Remember I talked about the 1 million people in the world that like you?
Yeah.
The only way those people are going to find you is by doing 2 things. 1 is being authentic, and 2, being consistently authentic.
Yeah.
That's it. You want to find all your clients that you want to work with, your avatars. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You consistently showcase the benefits of hiring you as a human being, and obviously sprinkle in the product. The thing is, if people like you enough, they're going to stalk you. They're going to go, I really like this guy. What's his deal? What's he all about? And then they're going to go, oh wow, he's a videographer. He makes video business cards. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then of those million people, it's that law of averages, right?
Yeah.
Of those million people, eventually 1% of them will book you or will hire you. And that's where the numbers come back in, where the followers kind of, do make sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, social media is such a scam sometimes, because you never know.
Tell me.
Those million followers could not be actually all there half the time, most of the time. It could be the app just pushed out numbers so you create more content because they don't want you to go. They're like, how do we keep this creator from leaving the platform? We'll give him some followers. We'll throw him some followers.
Really?
There's been
happens?
There's been proven cases. I'm not going to mention which social media sites that do this, but it's been proven. It's been a thing.
I see.
This is another rabbit hole. But going back to you being your most authentic self consistently, that's what I did for my last 2 years. I found what I liked showcasing about myself, and then I also found what the market liked about that. And that's where the that's where the testing is involved. The magical formula for what I have and what I've created is, do I like creating it? And do the people like that, what I'm creating, in that order?
That's it.
In that order. It cannot be any other order. People go, okay, what do the people like doing? Oh, they like this niche that I'm doing. Or it's not me, but because they like it, I'm going to create it. I'm going to create it, and that's going to be my thing. I'm now whatever it is I'm doing. And then they do that, and they get love for it, and they get high off their own supply, and then one of two things happen. People get bored of them, or they get bored of themselves. And if they're not true to themselves from the beginning, they're most likely to get bored of themselves first, which what then will happen is they have to keep doing it. All of a sudden, you're not doing what you want to do. You're shackled. You're a slave. No good. Or the people are over what you're doing, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm free. I don't have to do it anymore. Oh, but now I feel like I'm lost because that wasn't what I was wanting to do in the beginning anyway. I just did it because it was popular. Yeah. So my system is this. My system is do what I love and only what I love, and not give a shit about what anyone else likes or, from the beginning, just test. And then if I do hit a nerve with the market and they love something, which is kind of contradictory to what I just said, but if they do love it, but I still love it, then cool. I'm going to put that in my pocket of tricks, and I'm going to put that content out every now and then. I don't think my content is niched at all. I've got things here. I do stuff I talk about teaching. I eat chicken wings. I make fun of my height. I do my Russian personality that I've kind of started doing again, which is so fun. And, I could do those 4 on repeat.
Yeah.
And then that's it. But I get bored. I get bored before everybody else does. And because I get bored, it's always fresh. And, make a series. Make a series about, educating people about video or showcasing my sneakers or whatever, Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the process of creating my own series.
That's it. But the thing is with the process of creating your series, create it bit by bit. You don't have to create the whole thing at once.
Yeah.
Because the most disheartening thing is creating the whole series, posting it one by one and not seeing any traction.
Yeah.
And then feeling like, well, shit.
Nothing's
hit, right? However, episode 6 comes out and everyone's like, oh my God, it hits a mark. Everybody goes back and binge watches, right? It's all about the times where we were channel flicking and finding that TV show for the first time.
That analogy.
But we were in it was in its 3rd season. So you're like, oh my God, I need to watch this whole thing from the start. Right? So that's why you do create your series.
I watched Breaking Bad 5 years after it was made.
Yeah. My favorite all time show was Prison Break. That was my favorite. All time favorite. Yeah. I don't even watch TV anymore. I avoid it
same.
like the plague. It is for me, I've watched enough in my life to know the film industry, and it's just sometimes I watch documentaries to get the inspiration for like camera angles and stuff. And the way they storytell, but I try to avoid it. I actually want to get back into gaming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Yeah. Because that was like my first true passion.
Ooh, I didn't know you were into gaming.
Yeah, I was up there with like some
Really?
of the top players, like way before the whole Twitch thing was a thing.
Ooh, bro.
Because that was in 2009, I think it was. But yeah, I was 2006,
Wow.
2007. I was playing
Way
like
back.
competitive Call of Duty. There wasn't really a proper like well-known leagues. We just had like online forum leagues where we would just organize gamer tags on Xbox, and we go, all right, this team is playing this team at this time on this map, and this person's hosting it, and we would just jump in the lobby, private lobby, and then play. And we would dominate, and it was so fun. And then I don't remember what happened. I think my internet was bad, or I realized that like my mum was hectic, man. She's that cliche, doesn't understand that you can't pause a live game. And we would be about to start a ranked game, and mum would say,
ranked.
Sev, go take the laundry out. Put the laundry up on the line. I was like, Mum, can we do this in a can we please do this in an hour's time? I need to kill some people.
Mom's not having it.
Absolutely.
Well, I just filmed an event. Actually, I didn't. It was, I think, a year ago or two. Ever heard of Red Flag LAN?
I've heard
they
of like
took up-
LANs.
They took up the whole stadium in ECU. Was it?
Oh wow.
And it was like 2 nights. They didn't sleep. So
Oh,
there's a
shit.
community there, bro. Like, and they were playing all kinds of games, from old school Nintendo to.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay. You may have to give me some contacts for that, because I think that would be really fun to get back into.
Yeah, dude. I covered their
That
event.
would be really cool, and then add some value to it because of my social media presence, because that's what I want. All I want to do. I don't want to. Sometimes I do leverage it and be like, all right, guys, I want to stay in this hotel. I'll make you a TikTok in exchange for a room and dinner, whatever. But I also give them something in return.
Nice.
But yeah, I definitely want to get back into
I'll
it.
message you.
The wife and I are actually thinking about getting a couple of PlayStation 5s. I know that sounds like a hell rich person thing to say. We're just going to get 2 PlayStation 5s and start playing. But we're able to do that. It's cool to be able to live a life where we have that savings to be like, all right, if we don't like watching movies anymore, what can we do to spend the time together in the middle of winter and at night time? It's like, let's play Far Cry. We loved playing Far Cry when we were younger.
really?
So yeah, and then
Can you play like
document that.
multiplayer? Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, you can, but it's better on 2 consoles, because then
Right.
I can have my TV and she can have her TV.
Oh yeah,
and,
makes sense.
and if
makes sense.
we do competitive, I can just show her who's boss virtually as well.
I was heavy into ever heard of Dota 2?
Yeah, Dota. Classic.
was,
I never got into it, but yeah.
I only got into Dota 2, not the 1. I was never really a gamer until I played that game, and it's literally it was so bad, bro. It was an addiction. I didn't
Takes
sleep.
your life, eh? Yeah.
I was consumed by it. I lost days, weeks on it because I started getting into the rank.
That's why I don't play. Yep. That's why I don't play. That's why I don't play, because I know myself. I'm all in or nothing, man.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's
same.
that's the other part of the formula,
That's the
bro.
alacrity.
I'm all in or nothing. Like, if I'm playing a video game, I want to finish it. I want to get the top rank. I want to be at the top of the leaderboard. I want to be prestige 10. I want to have all the gold guns, and I want to be known to be the best, you know? And if I'm not going to be the best, I'm not going to play.
I love that.
I'm stubborn. That's why I quit footy. When I knew... I just lost my passion. You know, you lose your passion as well. And if your passion is not to be the best, and this is going to be fucking used against me, I can feel it. But if your passion is not to be the best, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to just participate, sure, but fucking go all out, man. Take it, and just go all out. See how far you can go. Don't settle for second. Learn from second, learn from eighth, but don't settle. If you're really passionate about it, all this bullshit, oh, you tried. Oh, at least you give it your best shot. Well, fucking oath, I'm going to do it again and win. And if you don't have that attitude, don't bullshit yourself. Find something that you will do that with.
That's it. I feel like I want to leave it there, man. That was so beautiful.
You're welcome.
Sev, thank you so much for being on this, whatever I'm doing here.
You're going to look back at this and you're going to be like, I'm glad I did it.
Fuck yeah. And I'm really grateful you're here. Tell the people what you're doing, what you're up to. Where can they reach you?
I'm doing everything and anything I can at any moment in time. My ultimate goal is to help kids and people, just anyone really, to learn about themselves, whether it's, you know, whatever they want to do or how they want to do it, but just generally the self-awareness. And I also want to help people with the financial fitness. # this is not financial advice. I want to help people with those two things because they kind of cross each other. If you're not financially fit, you're going to be stuck and you're not going to get the chance to feel that you can be anyone you want to be. So the money aspect needs to be taught, which is the financial fitness side of things, and the self-awareness needs to be known, and that is the do what you love doing. Combine those two, put me on a TED Talk, and I'll share that every day and hopefully make bank.
You will, man. You will. You're definitely on your
All right.
Awesome. I'm going to stop this recording. Thank you so much.
Flame emoji.
Yes.